Hi everyone, it's Liz Dunoon. I've created a series of videos to show you how to teach your child to read from home. The first part of this process is understanding what might be holding your child back, and that's what I'm going to be covering in this video. When they were younger, my 3 children experienced learning difficulties and I helped them to catch up at school and succeed in life. As a qualified teacher who specialises in learning difficulties and literacy, I have since helped hundreds of children to learn to read and spell from home. When you have a child who is a struggling reader, as a parent, the first thing you need to do is to establish why they are struggling. There are 5 areas you need to focus on. These can be explained using my 5+1 model. Here it is here. These are the 5 areas you need to explore. Number 1 is visual processing. Number 2 is phonemic processing. Number 3 is auditory processing. Number 4 is executive dysfunction. And number 5 is memory. My +1 is slow processing rates. Now let's look at visual processing, number 1. It's also known as visual dyslexia, but it has nothing to do with your child's eyes and everything to do with the way your child's brain processes visual information. It's important to get a standard eye test for your child to establish any eye problems, but they can still have perfect 20/20 vision and experience visual processing difficulties. Symptoms of this can be difficulty reading black text on white paper, distortions, text movement, tired eyes, fidgeting, headaches, and more. Phonemic awareness and processing is number 2. It's your child's ability to relate those 26 letters of the alphabet to the sounds that they make in words, also known as phonemes. A difficulty hearing the sounds in words is very problematic for the child who's learning how to read. For example, a child needs to know that the word cat has 3 letters with 3 corresponding phonemes or sounds: k, a, t. They must identify the letters C-A-T and know that these 3 phonemes represent them to decode and read the word. Children who have missed a lot of school, suffered from a series of early ear infections, or have phonological dyslexia can have phonemic processing difficulties. Indicators can be the child who consistently struggles with reading, irrespective of how good the teaching program is, the child who can't hear rhyming words, and the child who can't decode new words via sounds after plenty of practicing. Number 3 is auditory processing, and this is a big one. It's all about how your child's brain processes sounds. Again, your child can have perfect hearing and still suffer from auditory processing difficulties. It's important, however, to get their hearing tested to rule this out, because your child's reading skills are dependent on their ability to hear the sounds of phonemes to decode words. Auditory processing deficits can cause big trouble for the struggling reader. Indicators of this can be the child who has trouble following direction, struggles to pay attention in noisy classrooms, is always asking for extra instructions, may pronounce words incorrectly like with for with, and who struggles to take in information during an oral presentation. Now, number 4 is executive dysfunction, and it's nothing to do with executives. It's simply your child's level of difficulty when it comes to organising their thoughts, their tasks, and their possessions. This is the child who struggles to start a task, is always messy and disorganised, and has difficulty completing schoolwork and homework. Now, number 5 is memory deficits, and they come in many forms. There is long-term, short-term, and working memory to consider. A child can have one or all of these. The child with visual short-term problems may struggle to remember how words look. The child with auditory short-term memory problems may struggle to remember how words sound. Long-term memory relates to the ability to store information and then to retrieve it when it's necessary. This is the child who cannot remember their teacher's name. where they live, or how to spell a word. They might have seen many times before. Working memory is incredibly important for schoolwork, as it's the ability to take in new information, process it or act on it, manipulate the information, and then produce a result. It relates as much to reading a novel, writing an essay, and doing a maths equation as it does to learning a dance routine. Now, my +1 is slow processing rates, because this affects every area of difficulty when it comes to a struggling reader. Slow processing has nothing to do with intellect. It's simply the rate at which a child's brain works. Some people's brains process written information really quickly, and some people's brains process information more slowly. The child with learning difficulties invariably has slow processing rates. This is the child who can work their way through a task slowly and accurately, but will take much longer than the child with faster processing speeds. Both invariably get the job done and get the right answer. However, the child with slow processing rates may need more practice and take longer. It is important to consider your child and why they may be struggling to learn to read and spell. Only then can you understand the best way to help them. To establish the reason for your child's learning difficulties, the best place to start is with a diagnostic assessment from an educational specialist or an educational psychologist who specialises in learning difficulties. Make sure their qualifications are recognised by your education department or authority to allow for future accommodations if needed for their schoolwork. Now, here's the most important bit. Identifying your child's learning weaknesses will also give you the opportunity to highlight your child's learning strengths. And strengths are a great place to start when we want to help our children to make rapid progress with their learning. Tailor your child's learning based on their strengths to allow them to overcome their weaknesses, make massive progress, and catch up quickly. If you like this video, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel right now. Just click on the subscribe button here. If you want more information on how to teach your child to read and spell, and find out how to access posters and many more educational resources to help your child catch up at school fast, join me on my free webinar by clicking here, or you can click the Show More tab below. So we can keep in touch, please subscribe to this channel. I'd love to hear your comments. Now, I want to turn this over to you. Which of the 5 learning difficulties we discussed today do you see in your child? Or you can just tell me how your child is going right now by leaving a comment below. See you next time. Bye.